Apotheosis gems are one of the best ways to improve your equipment, but unfortunately their drops are highly limited. Even in my previous farm video I was only able to show you a AFK version. However, what if I told you that I found multiple ways to fully automate the gem farming through one of the latest Apotheosis updates? So, starting off with my first approach, the villager gem farm in the end. Although it may be slower than the AFK way, as long as the chunks are force loaded, you will get continuously gems while being free to do what you want to do. So let's get right into it. And here we are at our gem farm. So first off, I'm going to explain you how this whole thing works. We have to be thankful for this small little guy who is called the treasure goblin. And this goblin is added through this gem. This gem is called Gem of the Twilight Forest. And this one has a effect. Attacking an entity has a 1.5% chance to summon a treasure goblin. And they have a special loot table because they drop both gems, but also gear, but also potions, enchanted books. So how do we get this treasure goblin? We have to put it into a weapon, right? And we're socketing it into a really weak weapon, which we're then using to attack our villagers. So they're getting regeneration free. That means we attack the mob, which leads to them potentially spawning a treasure goblin in the area around them. And then they fall down and then they land on this layer where we have a different modular router, but this one has actually a really strong weapon inside of it with loot pinatas. And that way all the treasure goblins are killed by this thing down there and we don't need to be here. So we can just be anywhere else because spawning is not related to us in any way. The treasure goblins can spawn without us being here. So we have now a fully automated way of producing gems. And to also mention the resources you're going to need for this build, you are going to need about 3000 blocks. Then we have the fast vector plates. So here you need 544. You're going to need 16 slabs. Again, the material is not important. 11 modular routers, 8 vector plates. Those are the normal ones. Then you need some connection to energy. Here I have, in my case, 4 energy cells, 2 monster spawners. The slabs are not important, the levers are just there to activate the spawners. Then we have 1 mega torch, 1 environmental controller, 1 ender chest, 1 normal chest, and 1 advanced item collector. So now that you know all the materials as well as how the whole system roughly works, I'm going to show you step by step how you can replicate it. First off, I would recommend you bring some night vision goggles. They're really helpful and they give you way more sight, especially in the end. And then you're going to need a infinity wand, which has also a angel core. This one can be crafted by combining a infinity wand together with a angel wand core. Then with sneak right clicking you can change here the construction core to the angel core. And this is really important that you do this before you fly away because you can't do it if you're in the air. So you need to be able to sneak properly to start this. Also to mention, you can build this in the end, but also in the other. Both dimensions work quite similarly. I think the other has even higher drop rates of the high rarity gems, but I just prefer the option of just being able to easily build the base without having to worry about different mobs or other mobs spawning. So that's why we're in the end. And we can now start flying outside of our main island to find a good spot for us. Okay, I found a good distance away. Now I'm just dropping myself again to a low level and now I can just place my first block. Let's see, can I go deeper? Yes. So this will be our starting block. Similarly to the previous video, please place down a mega torch right at the beginning because the moment you start building this, you will have a lot of endermen annoying you. Now that we have our first block and our torch, we're going to increase our base. For that, we're going to use the horizontal wall from the building gadget and first off increase the size of our platform. So you can sneak right click if you have it in your hand and then right click on the block. And by that, you then activate this one. And then this one you have to check in your keybinds. You can there's a menu for this. Just type in gadgets and you will find it quite easily. And then you can activate here the horizontal wall with a range of 15. However, this is not enough yet. So this one is now a total size of 15 by 15. However, we're going to need 17 by 17, means we need to add 2 more blocks. And we're doing this by changing our range from 15 down to 3. So we're just really adding 1 more layer around it. And then you can just walk around the island. And that way we're adding on both sides, on all sides 1 more, which means we get to a total size of 17 by 17. And now we're getting to the walls. So for that, I'm going to use glass because it's easier for you to see what I'm doing with that. You sneak right click on that one, and then you have your wall. This one I already set to vertical wall this time, also again a range of 15. And then you can place down your first one, and then you can see we have now our first wall, and we can do the same thing for all 5 corners. Make sure that you place them properly in the center, and that way we have now our 15 by 15. And actually we're going to need to extend this by one more. Here you can use 2 different ways. So first off, you're going to fill out the corners with the infinity wand. This one is really useful to just fill out those quick corners. I forgot one edge over here. Now that we filled in the corners, we just have to add actually one more layer on top. So we have 1 layer of stone bricks, and then now we have in total a height of 16 for the glass. So make sure that you have this. And now we can start actually with the internal stuff. We're leaving the top open so it's easier to access it for the beginning. In the center of this area, we're now going to place our first modular router. So I hope, yeah, that should be the center. So just find the center, put down your modular router, and then I best already connected to some kind of energy. Again, you can pick whatever you want. I'm just using the creative version here for easy access. Next up, we're going to have to place some energy upgrades, as well as some speed upgrades. So the maximum here is 64 and 9. And then we have to add some activator modules. The activator modules are responsible for the attacking of the block. And if you have them in your hand and right click, you can then access the different options. You have to change the action to attack nearby entity, then entity is set, and then sneak is not activated. And then you can pick one of those sides. So you can, for each activator module, only pick one side. So we're going to start with the left one. And I just added myself a couple of them. So all of them are currently at the left side. So I'm opening the next one. This one is now at the front. This one is now at the right side. And this one is on the back. Now all 4 sides have an activator module. And now in the buffer, you're going to put your weapon. In my case, I'm using the Adamantium alloy blade. This one is for 2 reasons. One, it has one of the highest attack damage possible in the game, and also it's indestructible. This is really important because if you have a destructible tool, you might lose your equipment and it's not fully automated. So you have to have something which is indestructible. And to maximize your loot, you should also have loot pinata with a 5.5% chance, which is the highest one you can get, as well as the gems I have at the bottom, which are sharpness, increasing existing enchantments, as well as some attack damage. So we're making sure that we really one-hit kill the mob. In the enchantments, you should have a scavenger, looting, and sharpness for the damage. Now that our modular router is fully set up, we can place our vector plates. Those are responsible for pushing the treasure goblins, which are falling down over there, into the center. For the center, you should be using normal green vector plates. Those are the cheapest ones. You can just place them in a 3x3 area around the modular router. And then the rest we're going to fill with the yellow ones. Here again, the recommendation is to use the building gadget. So if you place down one vector plate, sneak, right click on it, you can see that we now have the full area full of vector plates. Here you definitely need to reduce the size a bit. The range of 7 is the best one, so you just click here, and then one more over there, and then over here. Here it's also important that you set it to surface and not to horizontal wall, because if you set it to horizontal wall, it's going to place a lot of them outside of the wall. And that's why right now with surface, it's only checking if there's a surface to place the resources on. Then for the other side, we have to place down a new vector plate so we can switch around, right? Because this is the wrong direction. Sneak right click, pick it again. And now we can place down our vector plates. And then we just need to fill the centers. Place down one more vector plate, and then you can just fill this one up. And we're doing the same thing on the other side. Now, whatever happens on whichever corner our mob lands, it's going to get pushed into the center of the farm and it's getting killed by our blade. The first layer done, we can start on the next one. For that, we're going to place down 1 stone brick in the center. We get our building gadget, switch it to stone brick, and then we go back to our horizontal wall and we're going to increase it to 13. That means at the end of the day, you should have this one slight place around it. And actually we're going to increase it by 1 more layer just to be safe, because I had sometimes some issues where the modular router would attack between the different layers. So just add 1 more layer on top. Except we're going to destroy the center of our platform. So we are going to make a plus sign in the middle. Here we're going to place our energy source, and then we're placing 4 modular routers. I'm going to show you once now how to set up all 4 of them. So all 4 of them will have the same setup. Inside of this, we're going to place our energy upgrades. That's the same. Then we have the speed upgrade, and then we have the activator module. This one, again, we're going to right click, and this time we're only setting up the upper side and setting this one again to attack nearby entity. So if we put this now inside of this one is going to continuously attack at the top of this block. And we're going to do the same thing for the other 3. And now we're getting to the spawner. So first off, we have to have one monster spawner. This one you can get through different ways. I've showed it in previous videos. You have like ways of like using packing tape, cardboard boxes, or also silk touch. When you have a monster spawner, you can add different modifications. Those were changed. Also as a small update for the people who have not updated their older mods for quite some time. They are way more expensive now, especially the spawn count. You need piglich hearts, but also for spawn delay, you now need automotium ingots as well as unobtainium ingots. The good thing, we don't need any of those two, and also the piglich heart we don't need, because we don't really care about the amount of villagers we're spawning because they're going to survive unlimitedly. So I will show you the ones which we do care about. So first off, we have the golden apple. If we add this one, it's just going to remove the AI. So the villagers are not going to make any noises, they're not going to run around, they're just statically going to be there, and it's often also better for server performance. Next up, we're going to add redstone comparator. This one is going to allow us to activate or deactivate the spawner. As you can see right now, it doesn't have the fire anymore, so right now it's deactivated. Next up, we have the blaze rod. However, first we have to actually put nether quartz in our offhand. If we do this, it's going to invert the effect. So normally a blaze rod would increase the spawn radius, but if we do it now, it's actually going to decrease it. So now our spawn range went from 4 to 1. Now removing the nether quartz, we're going to add some wool. This is going to make it silent. That means no annoying sounds from the villagers. Next up, we're going to add some gas tiers. Here right now, so at the beginning it was at 6. Here we want to have a value as high as possible. So just try to put as many as you can, and now you have 16. In an optimum way, it should be 4 villagers on each modular router. Then we're going to add the conduit, which is going to make it ignore players, so we don't have to be here for the spawner to work. And then we have the dragon egg, which allows us to ignore all conditions. One of those conditions is, for instance, that normally mobs can't spawn on top of each other. So normally if we wouldn't have this, we only would have 4 villagers because they have like a certain radius. They can only spawn on top of each other. And with this is ignored. The only thing I don't know, maybe people in the comments can let me know, if the ignores condition also ignores the players. So if inside of the dragon egg, we already have the conduit. If somebody knows, please let me know. And lastly, we just have to turn it into a villager spawner. So if we right click with our villager spawn egg, we now have our fully finished monster spawner. Next up, we're going to quickly build the blockade for the villagers. That means we want to make sure that the villagers only stay inside of this area. So we build 1 block on top of the spawner, and then we add some stone slabs. So that's how it's going to look like. And then we're going to break those 4 blocks. That way right now it has a space for the villagers. They can't move out, but the red cap is only 1.5 blocks high. That means even if a red cap spawns inside of this area, because they can randomly spawn in this area, they have the chance to get pushed outside of this area. And now it's already vector plate time. So again, we're going to place our vector plate, sneak right click with our building gadget, change it to surface, and then we can increase it a bit. I would set it to 6, and then you just push them to the edge over here, and then just extend those over there. And then we have to switch it, right? And then make sure that we leave the space over there. We could also just fully push them, but it's not needed. So let's do it like this. And then here we're going to push them similarly on the base one over to the side, and the same thing on the other side. And now whatever happens, if a red cap spawns, it's going to get pushed down, and now it's stuck here, just like as I am. Also, a small trick for the people who might fall into this thing and then get stuck. You can sneak, and then it's going to ignore the vector plate. So you can just like sneak outside, break the walls, and then here you are safe. I placed the block on top of this. Actually, here is where you place your lever. You can also use whatever else redstone system you have, and then like connect this lever to the other dimension, for instance, but that's really up to you. And now I'm going to build the second layer of this. So actually, you could already like use this as it is. Like you can also just build one area like with 4 modular routers and then expand the base on top of each other. So you can at the end like just build it as high as you can and have a extreme amount of modular routers, and I will explain you later how to expand it in detail. But for now, I'm going to quickly do the second area. Quickly as that, we are already done with our second layer as well. So here again, we could now just finish this up by closing up the top. So placing our block, then we use our building gadget, and then we can actually increase the range, set it to horizontal wall, and then just close it up. The reason why we have a bit more space now at the top than my original version is originally I made a triple space between them, but actually 2 is enough. So this way it's even more compact. Okay, and now we're in the bottom. I quickly broke open a small hole for us to access it. And now we're going to first off move our torch. So at best have a second one, so you don't have to like destroy this one and then maybe something spawns already. Then you can destroy the centerpiece. And here we're going to place our ender chest together with our advanced item collector. This one is going to instantly pull all the items from the top. Here I would quickly just recommend you to just increase the size, and there are already items inside, but that's because there's like a second chest. To change this, you just sneak right click with a diamond. So now this one is a private chest. So this one is only for this purpose. And then you can add some ender pearls by sneak right clicking again. And you can see at the bottom, it's increasing the chest capacity. Make sure that you only use this chest for your gem farm. You can add a dye. Again, I will put here purple in the center. I think I used blue for the previous one. And next to our chest, we're going to place our environmental controller. So this one is responsible for the regeneration. This one also needs energy. So I'm going to quickly place down an energy cell. And now it's fully filled up. Now we have to add in a regeneration module. There is 2 types. This one is the stronger one. So it's regeneration plus. We can add it up here. And then the important part are both the radius up here and the height, as well as the filter. So first off, for the radius, you can actually use something really small, which is going to reduce the energy it's going to take. Now let's go with 10. Let's go with 10. And for the height, you can check that by going F3. So right now our Y coordinate is at 1 and our maximum is at, 16. So we can go back down here. Okay, and now you just need to right click on the controller, and then we're setting our height to 1, this one to 30. The radius can also be something like 30 actually. And then we're going to change this filter to only affect passive mobs. So it's only going to affect our villagers. Now I'm going to show you what kind of weapon we're going to use inside of the modular routers, the ones which are going to flip through, right? The ones where we have the gem inside. And for that, we're going to use a wooden fillet knife. The reason for that, we want to have as little as damage as possible. And that's the lowest damage I was able to find. So that's what we're going to use. So get yourself a wooden fillet knife and a smithing table. Inside of this smithing table, you're going to place your wooden fillet knife, as well as Eternal Stellar and a smithing template. Eternal Stellar, my last video was about this one, so please check that out if you want to know how to make this. And this is going to turn this wooden fillet knife into an eternal wooden fillet knife. I think people would think this is a meme if they see that. But it's real, and that's what we need. And next up, we're going to add a sigil of socketing. By doing this, we don't have to reforge it. And that way we have one empty socket, and inside of this socket, we're going to place down our gem of Twilight Forest. The higher the rarity, the better it is for the percentage, so that it's going to be quicker. But actually here it's not too important because we have the 4-minute cooldown anyway. So even if you have only like the lower level gems, it's still going to be fine. And this is our finished knife. And this is what we're going to now use with our modular routers. And this is what we need for the modular router setup. So 2 routers and 1 chest. Let's first quickly connect our distributor module. This one is really important and it has 8 slots. This is enough for 2 levels. If you want to increase, so if you want to add more layers, you have to add more distributor modules. With the module, also one thing I would highly recommend you to do, if you have this setup, to use a shrinking device. This one allows you to decrease or increase the size of your character model. And I'm going to set it to as low as possible. And then if you sneak and right click, you can see now I'm like less than 1 block tall. And that way you can just easily like evade those vector plates. We can quickly go inside of this, destroy the block, And then we can use our distributor module, sneak, right click, and you can see target edited 1 out of 8. So we're going to do that for all 8 of them. If for you have to have 2 of those modules. So you have to like have 2 of them in your inventory and do it like 2 times for each of them. So like click, switch. For me, I will duplicate it at the end of it, but just to make sure that you do this as well. Now we are on the second layer, and here we are going to do the same thing. Sneak, right click. And now we can put everything together. First off, for the modules, you can put both of them inside the routers. And then we have to set one of them to transfer out of the router and one of them to transfer into the router. So for this one, let's set it to transfer into the router. That means the items are getting pulled out of those 8 modular routers into this one. And this one is going to send whatever it gets inside of its buffer into the 8. So this one is pulling, this one is pushing. And now that's also how we have to use the puller module as well as the sender module. So the sender, this one is, as we said, pulls into. So this one is sending its items into the chest. We're putting that down. So sneak right click with the sender module. The MK2 is enough here. And then we are going to pull from the chest into this router. Oh, I placed it in the wrong one. So this one is the puller, the right one is the puller, and this one is the sender. Inside of this, you can also add some speed upgrades for both of them. And then both of those routers are fully done. And now we just need to fill our chest with daggers. The more daggers you have, the better. Like you're going to need at best 8 if you have the setup like this. But you can even do it with 1 and just like keep adding. Like you can build this whole thing and just like add later on more and more knives when you have the Eternal Stellar, or if you also get the gems. So you can like keep expanding on it. Okay, I quickly reduced the speed so it's easier for you to see how this works. So as you can see right now, it's kind of, the blue line is like pulling the knives from the different routers, and then those are getting back added into the chest. So they're sent it over here, and now this one is sending them back into the thing to a different modular router. So it's kind of rotating them around. As I said, I'm still not 100% sure if the cooldown is on the entity on both of them, but this was the fastest way I was able to build it with different tests over multiple hours. So now the last thing we have to do is to activate our spawners. So let me quickly make myself small again. Let me go in, activate our spawner, and now we should get our first villager in a second. And oh, we had both already. We had our first villager and we also had our first goblin. And as you can see, it like instantly spawned. Like it happens often really quickly. So actually the biggest drawback is the cooldown itself. And our villager has regeneration 3. It's not dying. It just stays alive. And now we just activate also the second one on top. So let me switch up here the level to 2. And you can actually use the time in the bottle this way, like you just fill it up once and now you have like the maximum. And as you can see now, we get our treasure goblins, but it's not pulling in the items. Oh yeah, so our chest is full because we didn't connect this chest to something else yet. Okay, just to quickly show you this. So now the items get automatically put into our chest. And this is what we got, from our first 2 goblins. One thing to make sure of is also if you're using this as a completely automated farm, that you are force chunk loading this chunk. Okay, and here we are back with our purple chest. Now, as you can see, we have all of our items inside of this chest. And this is one of the ways how you can farm Apotheosis gems and gear fully automatically. And be ready for the next one because I'm going to show you a second way as well. Also, I wanted to announce our community server. The server went live yesterday, and it's free for people to join. So if you're interested, check out the Discord link in the description below. And with that, I wish you all an amazing day.